I'm in the big leagues, told him don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding a road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now. So I need that go, y'all. Got hits when he throwing the fastball. Just too quick for it, peeling off like the whip orange. Seen they effort this piss.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the final episode of Season 2 of Another Turnover, the basketball podcast where a basketball fan with zero basketball credibility gives his opinions on what's going on in the NBA. Opinions that nobody asked for. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Chris Aaron Murphy, a.k.a. AA Ron. And ladies and gentlemen, for like I said, the final time of Season 2, let's jump right into it. So folks, this will be my final episode of Season 2. I may do a few shows if free agency gets a little crazy, but who knows. But let's just say, for the sake, this is the final episode for Season 2. And this is also, I was taking a look, going back to last season, Season 1, this is my 50th episode. So how fitting that we end Season 2 with the 50th episode. That's crazy, to think about how many, man, that's a lot of episodes. 50 episodes, proud of myself. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. But to everyone who has supported the show in any way, shape, or capacity, thank you. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much your kind words, your support, your encouragement, everything, you know who you are. And I appreciate you, and I love you. So let's get into this Season 2 finale. We got quite a few things to get through, so it'll be a little bit longer than normal, but it's a finale. It's supposed to be. But let's get started. So if you remember back earlier in the year, right before the season kicked off, or tipped off, I should say, I had my way too early predictions. And so I wanted to kind of go through some of those and see where I was initially thinking or what I thought was going to happen versus the actual results of the NBA season. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the individual awards that were given out, and let's see which ones I got right and let's see which ones I got wrong. Spoiler, most of them are wrong, but let's take a look at the first one. So the big one, the NBA's Most Valuable Player Award goes to the best player who has the best regular season. Caveat on regular season. I initially thought going into the season that this would go to none other than Luka Doncic, the guard in Dallas. But the actual results of the winner, which I'm not upset about, were Nikola Jokic going back-to-back, winning back-to-back MVPs, Most Valuable Player Award for Nikola Jokic. So, I mean, I definitely, like I said, I'm not mad that Nikola Jokic won it. He is one of my favorite players to watch. And Luka did start off slow. He finished strong, but he definitely started off slow. I remember I was like, man, my MVP pick is not looking great. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he did have some injuries that he was dealing with. But yeah, he definitely didn't start out great. But what matters is that he finished strong. 28.5 points per game, 9.1 rebounds, 8.7 assists for the regular season. Had a very strong playoff showing, getting the Dallas Mavericks all the way to the conference finals against the Golden State Warriors, and upping most of his totals, 31.7 points per game in the playoffs, 9.8 rebounds, and the assist numbers were a little down, 6.4 assists, but overall a great year for Luka Doncic. But Jokic was consistent all year round, and Jokic was able to do what he did without two of his max contract teammates. There was no Michael Porter Jr., and there was no Jamal Murray, and they balled out. So, 27 points per game for Nikola Jokic, 13.8 rebounds, 8 assists. He was top 10 in all three of those categories, and he was number 1 in player efficiency rating for the year. So, does everything that he does while doing it efficiently and effectively and without two of his all-star caliber, I should say, teammates. So, shout out to Nikola Jokic for, balling out all year. I feel bad for Joel Embiid because, he had a really solid year too, and he could have got it, but Nikola Jokic deserved the award. So shout out to the MVP, Nikola Jokic, for another fantastic season. But let's go to the next award. So Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year goes to the best first-year player in the NBA. I thought it was going to be Jalen Green, and it was not Jalen Green. Who ended up winning the award was Scotty Barnes, the forward for the Toronto Raptors. Now, I know how this sounds, but hear me out. I really wanted to pick Scotty Barnes at the beginning of the season because I really felt he was going to have a great year. But I just felt that Jalen Green's scoring was going to translate a little bit better in his first year than I thought Scotty Barnes' scoring was. I thought it was a bit more NBA ready, but that wasn't the case. Toronto overachieved, and Scotty Barnes thrived under that Nick Nurse offense. 15.3 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and 3.8 assists. Shooting 49% from the field. He had a solid year. Needs to work on his jump shooting a bit, but most of these second year guys don't have the best jump shot coming out of college. So, but a solid year for Scotty Barnes. Definitely a well-deserved Rookie of the Year honors for him. Next award. Wow, this one was embarrassing. So initially, my Defensive Player of the Year was Anthony Davis, who I picked for my way too early season predictions. And wow, yeah, like I said, pretty embarrassing. This award ended up going to Marcus Smart, or if you live in Boston, Marcus Smart. Had a phenomenal year. First guard to win Defensive Player of the Year since Gary Payton won it in '96, if I'm remembering that correctly. But yeah, Marcus Smart definitely deserved this award. Elite perimeter defense. He's their defensive anchor in Boston and led the charge for them having that huge turnaround starting in January for the Boston Celtics, helping lead the charge all the way to the NBA Finals. So Marcus Smart definitely deserved the award. I thought Anthony Davis was going to have a bounce back year after having a not so great year in the previous season, but Lord, no, not the case. But next award, the only award that I got right, the Sixth Man of the Year I picked before the season started, Tyler Hero. And Tyler Hero was the man that won the award. I just felt like, I had a feeling he was going to have a bounce back year because his previous season wasn't that great either. And he made a comment, he's like, well, I'm in the same class as because I think he came in the same class as Luka and Trey and whatnot. He's like, I'm in that same class. And I was like, hold on there, brother. I don't know about that. But to his credit, he had a pretty solid year. 20.7 points per game off the bench. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 40% from 3-point field goal range. He's already talking about a contract extension. So for Miami, you're probably going to have to pay up. He's also saying, he feels he's earned a starting spot, and he's probably right. I would say the year that he could probably start on a number of different teams at that 2-guard position. So Miami's got a decision to make. We'll see. There's rumors obviously out there that they want to try to go after Donovan Mitchell or another big-time free agent. So would they package Tyler Hero in a trade like that? Who knows? They got a decision to make, but well-deserved Sixth Man of the Year honors for Tyler Hero. Next award. Let's talk about the Most Improved Player award. Now, a little caveat with this one. My Most Improved Player didn't play most of the season, like 90% of the season or whatever it was. So, but it's no excuse. I'll put my pick out there. I picked Denver's Michael Porter Jr., the guard for he's not their starting point guard, Jamal Murray is, but guard for the Denver Nuggets. This award actually ended up going to Ja Morant, which I thought was a little weird. And Morant did improve, don't get me wrong, but he was already that dude in Memphis. He had already won Rookie of the Year, not the previous season, but the previous season before that, if I'm not mistaken. So I just felt that was kind of a weird award for him to win. He was already an all-star and all this stuff. Just Most Improved, I just didn't feel was the right award for him. That's probably why he ended up giving it to his teammate Devin Bane, but that's a story for another day. I personally felt it should have been DeJounte Murray. He took the biggest leap, in my opinion. And am I biased? Of course I am. Obviously, it's my show. I'm biased. But nonetheless, Ja Morant was the Most Improved Player of the Year. But I just thought that was a weird pick. I thought that was weird that they gave him that award. But those were the way too early season predictions for individual awards and versus the actual results from the NBA. Now let's go to the standings or the rankings for the top 10 teams in the East and the West, who I felt, I picked out beginning of the season. And you'll notice a trend. Most of it is wrong, but we're going to go through it anyway because I love to roast myself. So before the season began, my top 10 teams, I had Brooklyn taking the number 1 spot, Milwaukee being number 2, Miami, Boston, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and then I have ranking out your play-in teams, New York, Chicago, Indiana, and Charlotte. And out of all of those teams I just listed, Charlotte was the only one that I picked exactly right. They were in the 10th spot the previous season, and I picked them to be in the 10th spot again, and they met expectations. So shout out to the Charlotte Hornets. Michael Jordan, you're doing a great job. But the Miami Heat ended up getting the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I wasn't too far off of that, 2 spots from that. Boston, I had 4, and they got the 2nd spot. Milwaukee only had 1 spot off. I picked them to be 2nd, and they finished 3rd, but they only finished like half a game or 1 game back. But then you have Philly taking up the 4th spot in the real, in the actual results. You had Toronto, Chicago, Brooklyn at the 7th spot. That was a big drop off. I thought they were going to be number 1. But there are a lot of extenuating circumstances with that, but that's neither here nor there. Atlanta, Cleveland, and Charlotte, like I said, are the only team that I picked correctly. Out of the teams, like the actual, results, Brooklyn obviously had the most disappointing season. Obviously there was extenuating circumstances with that. They got swept in the first round, but the whole Kyrie vaccine thing, Kevin Durant was out of the lineup for a significant portion. So that's kind of what did them in. But Cleveland, I'm going to talk about them a little bit later, but Cleveland overachieved, I would say. But yeah, I wasn't too surprised by the results, but let's go to the Western Conference. Let's take a look at the Western Conference. So only one team that I picked correctly again. So like I said, notice the trend. I'm going to give me one. But so the Phoenix Suns I picked to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and that's what they finished as. But my early season, way through season predictions were Phoenix, the Lakers, Denver, the Utah Jazz, Dallas Mavericks, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Golden State Warriors, the Portland Trailblazers, San Antonio, and the Memphis Grizzlies. And yeah, after Phoenix, most of it is pretty bad for me. So the actual results were the Phoenix Suns taking the number 1 spot, the Memphis Grizzlies taking the number 2 spot, Golden State Warriors, Dallas, the Utah Jazz, which Utah and Dallas I had flip-flopped, so I almost had those correct. Denver, Minnesota, the New Orleans Pelicans, which I didn't have in at all, the Los Angeles Clippers, and then the San Antonio Spurs. So, I was only 1 spot off from the Spurs. I had them 9th, and they finished 10th, so not bad, right? Not bad, right? But anyway, yeah, like I said, definitely some extenuating circumstances for some teams. I definitely did not picture Golden State being as good as they were early on. They started the season, 18-2, I think it was. 19-2, something like that. So they definitely played really well without Klay Thompson for the majority of the season. He came back after the new year. But Denver had some injuries, so obviously they were lower than expected. Minnesota overachieved. I did not have them where they were, and the New Orleans Pelicans also overachieved as well, especially after the CJ McCollum trade. So shout out to those teams. They definitely surprised me. But if you remember from that way too early season prediction show, my finals was the Phoenix Suns and the Brooklyn Nets, and neither one of those teams made it. So Brooklyn was actually the only team to not win a game in the playoffs, and they were the team I picked to win the championship. So great success. But completely wrong. Obviously, Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics ended up making the finals. But hey, it's all in good fun, right? Stephen A. Smith's wrong every now and then. I could be wrong too, right? But all right, let's transition a little bit. So way too early season predictions. I picked the all NBA teams, all NBA first, second, and third team. And this is a little better. So let's go through it. So in terms of the actual results, so all NBA first team was Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, and Jason Tatum. So I had Giannis and Luka as first team. I actually had Jokic, Booker, and Tatum as second team. So not too far off. But the real all-NBA second team was Joel Embiid, John Morant, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and DeMar DeRozan. Kevin Durant and Steph Curry I actually had as first team, but they ended up being all second team. And then all NBA third team, Karl-Anthony Towns, LeBron, Chris Paul, Trae Young, and Pascal Siakam. I had LeBron, I believe, as second team, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had LeBron as all NBA second team, and he finished, obviously, all NBA third team. Missed a bunch of games. He would have finished higher than that had he not missed a bunch of games. But out of the 15 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey, more than half. So there you go. I just couldn't believe how I did not have Joel Embiid or John Morant, or even Trae Young for that matter, on any of the all-NBA teams. I don't know what I was thinking with that one. I think I had Jimmy Butler on there. I had Rudy Gobert on there. Like, I looked through it and I was like, oh gosh, that was terrible. But all NBA first team. So I said, I picked more than half of them right. So another thing that I want to recap for the season, my marquee matchup. So every weekend I would pick 3 games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday games that I thought would be the most entertaining and the ones that people should look out for. And I did 55 games. I went back and did the math, and you can go back and listen to the show if you want. So 55 games, and I finished with a record of 35-20. So I mean that's good enough. It's good enough to make the playoffs, I would say. So a record of 35-20 for my marquee matchup. So not bad. So that's 55 games, is a lot of games. So my longest winning streak of the marquee matchup run was 7 games. So a couple weeks I went in a row there where I picked all the games correctly. So like I said, 35-20, not too bad. I feel like that's good enough to make the playoffs. But well, let's transition a little bit. So that's all the way too early season predictions, and that's how I fared out with the actual results. But let's transition a little bit. I want to do something I've never done before because I've never really had to do it before. And I don't have to do it now, but I think it'd be pretty entertaining and fun. Let's talk about some troll comments that I've got from this past season. So, I mean, everybody's familiar with troll comments. Just people commenting on your stuff, just saying anything, whether it's rude or funny or hating or whatever it is. Like, I had to go through some of them because some of them were pretty funny. Some of them were unwarranted, but some of them were pretty funny. But so anyway, so first troll comment that I want to go through. Now, this was a comment that I got before game 1 of the, well, I made this video, excuse me. It was an Instagram reel that I made this video before game 1 of the Brooklyn-Boston series. And my prediction was that Brooklyn was going to beat Boston in 7 games. And that was probably my worst take of the year because not only did Brooklyn not win any games in that series, they got swept. So completely, I mean, those games were close relatively, but I mean, and if you're looking at 4-0, like, yeah, they were the only team not to win a game in the playoffs. So like, that was probably my worst take of the entire year. And I definitely, I own up to it. Like I said, I'm not an analyst, I'm a fan, but this is a comment I got on the Instagram reel after the series was over from Josh L. So I'm not going to say his last name. I ain't going to put him out there. But Josh L. Heroes, huh? They got swept, meaning Brooklyn. Sound dumb AF now. Thanks, Josh. I mean, yeah, like that was my prediction and I stuck by it. But I thought that was a pretty funny comment. So Josh, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. So let's go to the next troll comment that I got. So this was after the Brooklyn-Boston series. Like I said, probably my worst take of the entire season. Now, this was just a video, an Instagram reel of me saying how Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers that we've ever seen. And this is another Josh F. I don't know why Josh having problems with me. Josh, who hurt you, man? Like, what's going on? But Josh F said he is not one of the greatest scorers. That boy trash. You D-Ride for sure. Thanks, Josh. I didn't know calling somebody the, greatest scorer of all time was D-Ride, but, apparently Josh F thinks so. So, Josh, appreciate you, man. Thank you. But let's go to the next one. So, I made a video about, I was talking about the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics series, and I basically posed the question, who needs this to win this series more for their legacy's sake? Is it Jason Tatum or Jimmy Butler? Like, obviously Tatum's been to 4 conference finals now in his young career. He's still young, only 24 years old. I've been to a lot of conference finals. Jimmy Butler, has always been seen like, is he a number 1 option? Can he lead the team to a championship? He's been on a few teams and it hasn't worked out. So I was just talking about, I was like, hey, who needs this finals trip more? Whose legacy needs it more? And this is a comment from Mike C. So another Instagram comment from Mike C. said, bruh, JT ain't got a legacy yet. This is bad content. Thanks, Mike. I mean, I thought that was a pretty funny one. I was like, wow, but this is bad content, but you don't want to click on it. So Mike, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. You should have clicked off sooner. But so I thought that one was a pretty funny one comment. So Mike, appreciate you tuning in, big dog. I appreciate it. And the last troll comment that I got from the season, this was from the NCAA tournament. This was actually a TikTok comment. So I was talking about how, I wanted my boys Duke Nation to win. And also, Paulo got drafted number 1. You're listening to this Friday. Draft was yesterday. So shout out to Duke Nation. But I just said, I was like, I want Duke to win. I was like, it's Coach K's last year. They've got a solid team. They're in a pretty favorable bracket. Like, they can make some noise. And, I said all that. I said I wanted Duke to win. They made it to the Final Four, losing to freaking North Carolina, but that's a story for another day. But D_Wingman is his username. D_Wingman said, I hope Duke loses. Thanks, D_Wingman. I appreciate you. Like, nothing else. No elaboration, no rebuttal, no debate. Just, I hope Duke loses. So, I appreciate you, D_Wingman. You all right. But, so those are some of the troll comments that I got. I thought those were pretty funny, and I thought those would be fun to read. I'm sure as the show continues, as the show grows, there will be more, and I'm ready. I want the smoke. I want it all, because at the end of the day, it ain't that serious. But let's go ahead and do something that we did last year. So last year, if you remember my season 1 finale, I had what I called the Murph Awards. So awards that I wanted to give out that I thought would be entertaining and fun, and awards that I felt were worthy. So this is the second annual Murph Awards that I will be giving out. And let's just jump right into it. So the first award that I want to give out is for the NBA's best hater. So this is a guy who, wakes up ready to hate. Like, if he's not hating, he's having a bad day. This award for the best hater, the Murph Award, second annual Murph Awards, for the best hater, goes none other to Patrick Beverley. Who else could it be? Like I said, if you remember from last year, I picked Patrick Beverley is actually now the first 2-time Murph Award winner. So shout out to you, Patrick Beverley. But he won the Murph Award last year for the player that I most wanted to see retire. But, if you looked up hating in the dictionary or Wikipedia, I'm pretty sure you would see Patrick Beverley on there. Like, he is the definition of a hater. And but he owns it. So he's cool with it. So hey, do you at the end of the day. But I never seen somebody literally wake up early in the morning. If y'all remember Patrick Beverley on Get Up a few weeks back after Chris Paul and the Suns lost in the playoffs. It was 6 a.m. or whatever time it was on Get Up. And was just saying all kinds of wild stuff about Chris Paul and how he wasn't that good and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, bro, this man got up early in the morning to hate. And I will say, it was must-see TV. It was TV gold. Go back and watch it. I'm sure the clips are still on ESPN's YouTube page. But this man had some serious haterade flowing that day. Him and Chris Paul, oh, Lord, they do not get along. But I was living for it. I loved it. So, Patrick Beverley, Murph Award for the best hater. Shout out to you. But the next award that I want to give out here, last year I gave this award out to Bradley Beal. And this was a player that needs to request a trade that I'm giving out. So, player that needs to request a trade, the Murph Award goes to none other than Donovan Mitchell, guard for the Utah Jazz. Everybody knows how vocal I've been about... Everybody knows how vocal I've been about the Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert pairing. And I think it's run its course. I think they're done. I think they should split it up. That team that they've had over the past 4 or 5 seasons has been built for the regular season. And I've never seen them as a legitimate contender. Even when they had the number 1 seed, not this past season, but the previous season, never once was I like, man, Utah's coming out of the West. They're just not, they're not those guys. And I'm sorry to say it, but if I was Donovan Mitchell, I'd be wanting out of there. Quinn Snyder, coach is gone. I think Quinn Snyder is a really good coach, a really solid coach. But like I said, if I'm Donovan Mitchell, I want out of there. Now to where? I don't know. There's rumors that Miami wants to make a trade for Donovan Mitchell. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. I don't know what they could potentially end up offering. Maybe Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, something else. But I don't think Utah would take that. But anyway, Donovan Mitchell, Murph Award, player that needs to request a trade. But third award that I want to give out here. Third award for the player that absolutely needs to bounce back next season. think of this. So you know how we have the most improved player award. This is for the if you don't improve, your career is going to have serious negative implications award. So the player that needs to bounce back, this Murph Award goes to Mr. Anthony Davis, aka Mr. Glass, in the for the Los Angeles Lakers, forward for the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, AD. I mean, as simple as I can put it, AD just has to stay healthy. Like you can't always control your injuries, but like something's got to be done. I mean, like if I'm the Lakers organization and upper brass, like I don't know if it's a matter of work ethic or dedication or diet, but all that should be taken into factor if I'm the Lakers organization, and I want to get to the bottom of that. So I don't know, like he has to bounce back. I would say next year is incredibly pivotal for Anthony Davis' career. And that thing came out just a couple weeks ago about him, like, you know, he's basically saying he hasn't touched the basketball since April, and I'm like, bro, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that? Like, publicly, privately, that's one thing, but like, why would you say that after the year you had? Like, he has top 5 talent in the NBA. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Top 5 talent. But if he does not bounce back next year, that, I believe, is going to have major implications for the rest of his career. But we'll see. But Murph Award for player that needs to bounce back goes to Anthony Davis. So, fourth award that I'm going to give out here, and I feel like a clown for giving this one out compared to what I gave them last year, but oh well, I guess put a red nose and call me a clown. Most disappointing team goes none other to the New York Knicks. Orange and blue skies, New York Knicks. Now, the previous season, like I said, not this past season, but the previous season, man, how fun was that playoff trip for the New York Knicks? And they only won 1 game, but like, how fun was that? Like, how fun was that season for them? Like, Julius Randle, most improved. Like, Tom Thibodeau, did he win Coach of the Year? I think he did. Like, they could, like, Derrick Rose was up for 6th Man of the Year. Like, they had all these things going for them. They had an identity. They were balling out. And then this year, it was like, I don't know who that team was. I was like, what in the world? Like, I'm not a Knicks fan, don't get me wrong, but like, I couldn't help but like root for them because of how fun that team was from the previous season, not last year, but the previous season. But like, this past season, man, they were awful. Like, they never got a rhythm. I mean, Kemba Walker was in the starting lineup, then taken out, and then put back, and then shut down. Julius Randle, like, I think the Monstars took his talent at one of the games at halftime, and they never gave it back. I mean, Evan Fournier, I could have shot a better 3-point percentage than Evan Fournier. He was not very good. They finished with a 37-45 record, 6 games back from a play-in spot, finishing with the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, New York Knicks, yeah, like big underachievers, but New York Knicks have been bad for as long as I can remember. As long as I've been liking basketball, they've been bad. Even with the years with Carmelo Anthony, they weren't really that team. But anyway, the next Murph Award goes to the most surprising team, at least for most surprising team for me. This Murph Award goes to none other than the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, Cleveland Cavaliers, I did not have them as a playoff team, let alone even a play-in team. And if they would have made the playoffs, they would have made the playoffs as a top 6 seed had they not been for their injuries that they had. Darius Garland had some injuries. I think Jared Allen was out of the lineup for an extended period of time. But they've got a great, solid young core. Like, really incredibly solid. And they've got a really bright future. Evan Mobley is great. Darius Garland was an all-star. I think he was an all-star replacement. Or no, was he actually? I think he was actually drafted. I don't know. He was an all-star. It doesn't matter whether he was a replacement or not. Jared Allen, a freaking monster on the glass and on the, as a rim protector. And then you got Colin Sexton going to come back. I think he tore his ACL, but he's going to come back next year. So, like, it'll be interesting to see him and Darius Garland coexisting. But, yeah, that team should be pretty good. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with them. But the next team that I'm giving a Murph Award to, this award is for the team that needs to relocate. So, if you remember, I gave this award to the Utah Jazz last year. The team that needs to relocate is none other than the Orlando Magic. I don't care that they just got the first pick. I don't care that they just got Paolo, my boy from Duke. They need to go somewhere else. Like, that franchise just needs a change, needs an overhaul. Like, Disney, Orlando is Disney. Apparently, all the people that support Orlando, they go to Disney and they don't visit the Orlando Magic. Because, like, I haven't heard anything great about the Orlando Magic since Dwight Howard left, and that was like nearly 10 years ago. It was a long time ago. So they need to move this NBA team somewhere else. And where should they move it? None other than Seattle, Washington. Bring back the Supersonics. Yes, I will keep saying this every year, more than likely, because I want a team back in Seattle, because Seattle is such a fun city, and Seattle deserves an NBA team. Bring back the Supersonics, Adam Silver. I know you're at the draft right now. Bring back the Supersonics. Needs to happen. Or Vegas. I wouldn't be opposed to a team in Vegas, so, but we'll see. Last Murph Award that I'm going to give out for this year, to the player that deserves all the flowers. You know, giving flowers is one of my favorite sayings, and this player, I mean, if I had to choose one player that's currently active that deserves his flowers more than anybody else, y'all know who it is. It's LeBron James. Like, now, if you know me in real life, you know how much of a certified LeBron hater that I am, but the man deserves his respect. Like, he deserves all of the respect. He's been a number one option on his team for nearly 20 years. Like, to put in perspective, like, I just turned 27 years old not too long ago. I have a little brother who's 6. He's been in the league since I was basically my little brother's age. Like, that's crazy. Like, nearly 20 years later, he is still pretty much the number one option on his team. Still better than a majority of the NBA players as well. I would say LeBron is still probably a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA, which is, like I said, better than most. An incredible, phenomenal career. I mean, just to name some of his accolades: 4 rings, multiple MVPs, multiple finals MVPs, records on records, going to the finals, 8 years in a row? 9 years in a row, winning 4 championships. Like, an incredible career. We will definitely, like I said, as a certified LeBron hater, I will miss this man when he's gone. I really will. But next year, he's more than likely going to pass Kareem for all time in scoring. And that'll just be a fun moment to see, as, you know, a record that has stood the test of time. But all the flowers are due to this man, to LeBron. What's his middle name? I don't know his middle name. But LeBron James, all the flowers. Respect. Murph Award for a player that deserves all the flowers. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you for this episode. That is all I have for you for the 50th episode. That is all I have for you in Season 2. Like I said at the beginning of the show, thank you to everyone who has supported, who has listened, who has liked, commented, shared, who has done everything to show your support. Your encouragement has meant the world, and it has definitely kept me going each and every week. So thank you for that. I definitely have some changes that I want to make for Season 3 that I want to implement, but I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a little break, and we'll be back for Season 3 in the fall, shortly before the season starts. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your summer. I hope you get to do all the things that you want to do. Spend time with family. Tell your family you love them. Enjoy yourself, and have fun, but be safe. Take care. Thank you, and I will see you for Season 3.
Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. Yeah, I need a bag, bruh. Send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Yeah, told him I'ma hit it out the stands. I deserve another 100 bands. I deserve another 100 fans. Told him this was always in the plans. I just did it cause they said I can. Blowing euros when I'm down in France. Labels asking how I build a brand. Told him put a check up in my hands. What got time?